I hand-built a Cybertruck inspired fishing boat to fish in the Florida Everglades.
All right, we're on, guys. Boom, there he goes. Yay! Boom.
It started when I found this junk boat online.
I just picked up this Jon boat off Marketplace for free. The seller had it listed for $300, but when I got there, I realized that the hull of the boat is full of corrosion and there's all kinds of holes actually going right through. I told the seller, hey man, look, I can't buy this boat for $300 in this condition. Have a good day. But he said, hey, I feel bad for bringing you all the way out here for a bad listing. Why don't you just take the boat for free? So now I have a nice little Jon boat if I can fix it up and make the hull watertight again. We need to start by pressure washing the hull and getting all this old grime and corrosion off so we have a nice clean surface to work with. Then we're gonna spray in Flex Seal all inside of the hull to make this nice and watertight. After spraying on 7 cans of Flex Seal, I think that we have a good coating on the outside and the inside of the boat. Now, my only concern with Flex Seal is how soft it is. It's basically a spray on rubber, and I don't think it's gonna be very abrasion resistant. If we bump this hull into the beach, any rocks or sand or anything, I think it's just gonna grind the Flex Seal right off. But what I want to do now is apply epoxy resin on top of the Flex Seal. I think this is going to give it a nice hard candy shell finish over the Flex Seal, which is going to reinforce the Flex Seal, reinforce the hull, and make this really strong.
At first, the epoxy didn't stick well to the Flex Seal and it was a big mess.
I got quite a bit of epoxy laid out on the hull of the boat and it turned out to be kind of a disaster. I did a couple layers and I did get it to spread out and start to get real glossy. So I think it's gonna be okay now, but I do have a lot of runs on the side of the boat here, and this is gonna look terrible once I paint it. You'll be able to see all these runs. So what I'm gonna do is grind this down first, and then I'm gonna sand this off to a nice finish. Then we're gonna apply our Rust-Oleum aluminum colored paint on the bottom and top of the boat.
Even though I did like the old camo pattern paint job on this boat, it was very satisfying to paint it over all silver and make it look like a new boat. But now it was time to get it out to the water and test our Flex Seal repair.
So the leaks were all down inside here in the bottom of these ridges, and you can see it's all filled up with a ton of Flex Seal now, and it's looking pretty dry so far. We'll see how long it holds. You know, once we run this thing up on the sand or hit it on the ground, it may tear through, but for right now, the Flex Seal is holding.
So we put old 1986 6 horsepower 2-stroke Evinrude on it and we sent it. The boat jumped right up on plane and it was real zippy. It should be with the 6 horsepower because these 10-foot Jon boats were only rated for 3 horsepower when they came out, but the thing zoomed around and it felt really stable. The boat still had plenty of power and it had a lot of room inside of it. So I brought Old School in the boat and we did a 2-man test of this old Jon boat and it was great. He said I was being a little bit of a wimp driving, so he wanted to get on the stick and show me how they did it back in his day, and he started tearing around like a madman.
Whoa, you're gonna flip that thing.
So I pulled out my phone and I filmed the clip and I posted it onto social media and the video went viral. Old School's video tearing around in the boat got over 2 million views and it got over 20,000 likes. The internet absolutely loves Old School on this boat.
I just fixed this boat. You don't need to rip the back off of it already. I thought you were going over for sure. Did you feel like you were on the edge?
No, because I kept the edge up when I made the turn.
Old School's video created quite a stir online and I realized this boat was destined for internet greatness. But how could a square tinfoil can be so controversial?
What other type of vessel is silver, looks like it's made out of tinfoil origami, and has a flat front on it? Well, you already saw the thumbnail of this video, so you know it's a Cybertruck. We're gonna turn this boat into the first ever fishing Cybertruck boat. I want the proportions on the Cybertruck boat to be as accurate as possible, so I actually went out and bought a Cybertruck. I'm gonna use the dimensions on this scale model to try and build the most realistic Cybertruck boat I can. Now, I just wanna say I'm sorry in advance to the Fords, Chevy, and Dodge truck owners out there. I know you guys are out here towing your little bass boats around. You're struggling to keep up with the Cybertruck out on the road. Well, now you're gonna be struggling to keep up with Cybertruck out on the lake also, because we got the first ever fishing Cybertruck and we're gonna go out and catch some bass.
So I used the digital caliper and a tape measure to measure the dimensions on the scale model. I then proportionately scaled it up to full size using some math, and then I traced it out onto 2 sheets of plywood. The Cybertruck body is going to be 10 foot long when it's all said and done, so I had to use 2 sheets of plywood end to end. I traced out all the outside lines of the Cybertruck. I then used a circular saw to cut it all out. The window was difficult to cut with a circular saw, so I finished it with a multi-tool. Now that the first side panel was cut, I held it up to the boat and it looked perfect. So I laid this panel onto 2 more sheets of wood and I traced it out so I could cut out the other side of the boat as well. I used 2x2s and a miter saw to start framing out the side panel of the Cybertruck. I glued in all the 2x2s on the edge, and this started to form the skeleton of the Cybertruck body. After the glue dried, I put in a bunch of screws to help reinforce it and make the body stronger. I framed out both sides, and now it was time to hold it up to the boat and try and figure out how high to mount these body panels on. So I laid them back down and I put some sideways supports. This is what's going to straddle across the boat, and this will determine how low into the water the Cybertruck body will touch. So I need to be pretty precise about this. I cut a whole bunch more 2x2s to make the cross members that's going to hold up the hood, the bumper, and the windshield. I tried to use corner braces on every angle that came together to reinforce it with metal. I then cut some angular gussets and attached it to the main side supports to really stiffen the body up and make it strong. I went to a marine lumber store and I picked up a sheet of 1/4 inch smoked acrylic. This is going to make the windshield, the moonroof, and the side lights on the Cybertruck. I measured and cut a few more plywood panels that is going to form the hood and also the front bumper. Before I attached any of the outside panels, I got the belt sander out and I sanded all the edges on the Cybertruck body. I even took the Cybertruck off and sanded the entire side panels, and then I used a palm sander to sand it down really smooth, so that way I could apply the epoxy with the body panel being horizontal, so I would get less runs in the epoxy as I was brushing it on. This epoxy is going to make the outside, inside, and edges of the body panel totally watertight. I then used construction adhesive and clamps and attached the front bumper of the Cybertruck. I screwed it in as well, and then I also did the same procedure for the hood. I sealed up all the screw heads and the gaps, and while I had the truck off the boat still, I went ahead and painted the entire inside of the truck with a nice matte black. I sanded the outside of the shell again, applied more epoxy, sanded that down, and did this several times.
After many layers of epoxy and sanding, I finally have a nice smooth finish on the outside of the Cybertruck. My next step is to spray on some clear coat because I want to have a nice hard glossy surface on the body panels of the Cybertruck. Now I don't want my truck to look like it's made out of wood, so I got this really nice vinyl wrap material. This vinyl wrap material actually has a brushed stainless steel pattern on it, so it's gonna look just like a real full-size Cybertruck.
I sprayed on a few layers of clear coat to give the body a nice hard smooth finish. I then took some 2000 grit sandpaper and I wet sanded the outside of the clear coat to make it nice and glossy, so that way the vinyl wrap material would have something to stick to. Now, I've never done vinyl wrapping before and I had no idea what I was doing, so I watched a few YouTube videos and I tried to do it myself, and it kind of turned out to be a total disaster. I did get the vinyl wrap material applied, I cut off the edges, but this was a terrible experience for me. I would get little bubbles and then I would have to peel the wrap back off to get rid of the bubbles. Finally, I learned the correct procedure to apply with no bubbles and creases, and I went and wrapped the entire side of the Cybertruck. I was amazed at how well the wrap actually turned out. I brought it out into the sun and you could see the grain in the metal, and this looked totally beautiful. This build got even more frustrating when I went to frame out the trim on the Cybertruck. I used plastic PVC sheeting and cut all these strips and miter saw cut and framed out the entire Cybertruck in black plastic. Now that the vinyl wrap was all done, it was time to start putting the windows in. So I used clear silicone sealant all along the window frame and I dropped in the front windshield. I did the same procedure with the moonroof and popped that in as well. Then I had to take some of the wood cutouts from the body panel, trace it onto the plexiglass, and I had to cut the plexiglass with a circular saw to make the side windows, and then I glued the side windows in as well.
The silicone sealant's been drying for a few hours, so it's time to pull this protective cover off and see what it finally looks like. It looks so nice. Guys, this makes me so happy. I've been working on this for so long. It's so nice to finally see this idea come to reality.
Now it was time to set the body onto the boat and see what it looked like. So Old School came over and we lifted it on, and I noticed that something was off. It needed black paint on the boat to hide the boat hull. So we put a coat of matte black paint onto the Jon Boat hull, and then we took it out to the canal for its first test run.
Keep coming, a little more. She's floating. Oh boy. All right. It's a little rolly if you grab it on the outside, but it does want to right itself pretty quickly. So I'm pretty happy about that. Front to back, it's actually really stable. I'm really surprised how stable it is.
So I took it on its first test run with the motor, and there was a huge problem. The back of the body panel was dragging in the water, and it was sending a huge wave into the boat.
Okay, first test, we have a big problem here. Boat's already flooded out. You can see I'm all flooded inside the cab here. These wheel wells are open, and the edge of the fender was dragging and throwing a huge wave right inside here. So I had two huge waves coming in. Now the back of the boat's flooded out. The fuel tank's even floating around here. I got this stick pump. This is my emergency bilge pump, but I'm gonna go ahead and use this and pump us out. We got quite a few gallons in here, but what I need to do is chalk up the body so we're not dragging so deep in the water, and hopefully we can fix this problem here at the ramp.
So we did a quick repair and raised up the truck body off of the boat, and now it was no longer dragging in the water, and the boat got up to full speed. The boat jumped right up on plane real easily, as almost if the Cybertruck shell were not even on it. The boat went pretty fast, probably around 16 or 17 miles an hour, and it was pretty zippy. However, you do have to be very careful on the turns, because if you turn too hard, the edge of the body will clip the water. And with the wheel wells being open, water flies inside the boat and floods out the boat. But it looks pretty awesome, and you can tell it's gonna look totally fire once the wheels are bolted on in place. The reflections on the windshield look incredible, and the vinyl wrap looks so nice in the sunlight. Old School got in the Cybertruck and drove it, while I drove the other boat so I could get some good footage of him running the boat. Now, he had to be really careful around the wake of my boat. This 10-foot Jon Boat is really not made to jump around on waves or anything like that, so it's very dangerous when you get too close to the wake of another boat. Old School did that one time. He hit the water pretty bad and took a lot of water into the Cyberboat.
Whoa, dude, you took on like 50 gallons. Oh boy, yeah, you took on some water.
The first water test of the Cyberboat was a huge success. The boat handled much better than I expected it would, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. But we do have a few issues, so we put it back on the trailer and we brought it home. I cut and painted a few panels that's going to cover up the open wheel wells. I also got these airless tires from Harbor Freight, and I painted the centers of them black so it would match the real Cybertruck. I put the fender walls in place, clamped them, and screwed them in. I then held up and marked the spot that my tire is going to go. I drilled through it. I used a nice big long bolt with Tef gel on it, pushed it through, and I cranked it down till it was tight enough but it could still spin. I installed 2 adjustable fishing rod holders, an automatic bilge pump to pump out the water, and I went and bought a brand new Suzuki 6 horsepower 4-stroke engine. We towed Cyberboat out for its first fishing trip, and we even saw a real Cybertruck along the way. We made it to the boat ramp in the Florida Everglades.
The truck is not really the easiest to manage, getting it on and off the ramp. Sometimes you gotta get in the water to pull it off, and there's a lot of gators around here, so I'm not too thrilled about that, but we'll see what it's like.
You girls ready?
Old
Okay,
School,
here we go.
let's go. Whoa, there we go.
The wheels look perfect.
You ever seen anything like that, Mike?
No, dude, I'm super excited to be out here with you guys today. This is freaking awesome.
First time seeing a Cyberboat?
First time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Went off a battery.
It does 72 miles per hour.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm joking.
I was gonna say, if it go that fast, you're gonna be out of the water. This is the new district vehicle.
Cyberboat, baby.
Get out
Can
of
I get a
here.
picture?
Yeah, of course, man. Take some pictures.
Okay. I know somebody be very interested in this.
I got the Cybertruck launched and we're out here deep into the Everglades. Now, I'm trying to go fishing today, but as you guys have seen on the channel, I'm terrible with fishing. So I teamed up with Mike from Epic Airboat Tours. He's actually a guide. He comes out here to the Florida Everglades all the time, and he is a true old school Florida Gladesman. So he's gonna try and put us on some fish today. Mike, thank you so much for bringing me out.
Yeah, thank you for having me, dude. I've been excited for this.
Yeah, nice. Now, real quick about you, how long have you been doing this?
Full time, I've been doing this for 5 years now, but I've been airboating my entire life. So 5 years ago, decided to drop the corporate job, leave the cubicle, and come out here full time.
Awesome. So if anyone visits from out of town, or even if you live in town, look you up, you'll take
Come
them
see
out
us.
here?
I would love to, man. We pretty much anything that you could do in the outdoors in Florida, we offer.
Okay, gotcha. And then offshore, you talk to?
So Captain Dave owns SoFlo Sport Fishing,
Okay.
and that is one of the most knowledgeable offshore guys that I've ever met.
Awesome, guys. That's Dave over there. If you're ever going offshore, Captain Dave from?
SoFlo Sport Fishing.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, well, let's get the boats in the water. We
Let's
gotta
do
get
it.
on these fish.
So we headed a few miles into the Florida Everglades and Captain Mike got me on the first fishing spot.
There we go, boy.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're on, guys.
Fish on the Cyberboat.
Big boy, look at him go.
See what we got.
Yeah. All right, okay, to my end. Nice.
Oh
All right.
yeah, nice catch.
Little one.
Getting an invasive out of the
Decent
glades.
size. All right, guys, first fish on the Cyberboat. It's official. It's a fishing boat now, baby.
Put it on, son.
Here comes another one.
Orlando, they know
Boom, there he goes.
Yes!
Boom. We're on, oh yeah, come on, baby. Oh, awesome. All right, well, we're right here. They are here. Yoink. There we go, baby. Yeah. Oh man, dude, they're in here. You just drop it in and they come right up.
They'll travel the bed down in the marsh and feed in the canals.
Nice.
So right here is like a main passageway for a lot of fish.
Nice. Okay. Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. What is it? It's a little one. It's not a cichlid.
It's an Oscar. That's a tiger Oscar, dude. Another invasive.
Oscars, aren't those in aquariums and stuff?
Yeah. They are.
All right.
That's how they got here. Now we're catching them on the Cybertruck. So
Cool, man. Okay, so I think we're at what? 4 cichlids and an Oscar.
That's it, dude.
All right, awesome.
I'm
Hey,
happy, bro.
That's a good day fishing, bro. All right, we had enough fishing on the Cybertruck boat. Mike is gonna take us out into the swamp on the big airboat. Here we go.
Captain Mike ripped us around the swamp for a while and it was an absolute blast. I didn't know riding on airboats was so much fun, but Captain Mike really does a great job out here in the Florida Everglades. It's a fun and thrilling way to see the beauty of the Everglades. Now, Captain Mike had to run for the day, so he left us out there in the Florida Everglades, but we had to do one more test on the Cyberboat.
Since the last time that I test drove the boat, I added wheels onto the side. Now the wheels do stick down and they catch water, and I think the wheels are dragging too much because I don't feel like the boat is getting up to its top speed like we did when we did the first test run. So what we're gonna try and do is get this brand new 6-horse Suzuki off of here, and we're gonna put our 1980 Mercury 25 horsepower on there, 2-stroke, and this thing's gonna fly. It could go 30 miles an hour with that bigger motor on it.
What's been your favorite adventure so far?
This is the 25 horse. It's a long shaft motor, so we had to raise the transom up. So this is gonna sit really high, which is dangerous because the boat's already top heavy as it is. And this is like 100 pounds, so it's double the weight of the other motor. So it's really pushing the limits of this boat here.
Way too big for this boat. I talked to my wife, the life insurance policy's all in good shape.
Old School ripped the Cyberboat down the canal. The thing probably got up to 37 or 38 miles an hour because we couldn't even keep up with it. But it was real dangerous because the boat would catwalk at low speeds, and it was also very unstable trying to get it up on the plane. It would bounce around side to side, and sometimes the bumper would catch in the water, and it was a really hard hit for Old School in the pilot seat. But when he kept it going nice and straight on the smooth water, This thing looked awesome. It moved so fast, sliced across the surface of the water, and it really looks like a Cybertruck racing down the canal. But it was an incredible feeling to see my vision come to life. This project was so much work. If you guys could drop a like and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it so much. And also, if you get a chance, go check out Captain Mike with Epic Airboat Tours. But while you're here, drop a comment below. Tell me what you would have done differently on this Cyberboat build. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Thanks again. I'll see you in the comments.